Hey everyone, welcome back for Lab 10. This week we are going to be starting on SOLIDWORKS assemblies. So we're going to take a number of parts I'm going to give you to pre-created. You're just going to download them right off D2L, and you're going to go ahead and assemble them into a single assembly model where all those parts are contained inside one file. So I'm going to share my screen and go ahead and follow along. We'll get started. So when we open up SOLIDWORKS, we're going to open up, instead of a part, we're going to open up an assembly file. Go ahead and do that. And once we're inside our assembly file, it looks very similar to our sketch environment. However, it's going to ask us to open a part to begin the assembly. So you should have all of these parts in your your course folder that you downloaded. If you don't have access to this directly from the virtual machine, what you can do is come into our class portal under Lab 10 content section, and you can download all of these files here. You're going to have to go one at a time. Just go through. What I usually do is I kind of just click through, and you can download them, all before you go ahead and open them. And then you can click down here, show in folder, and that will bring up wherever your downloads folder is. That will bring up your downloads folder, and they should just be right here. So you'll have all of the parts downloaded, and then you can take these and move them somewhere a little bit more secure than your downloads folder. And once you have them all downloaded, you're going to have a list just like this. And then you can come into the software under the assembly tab. Just click X here. So if you've already clicked out of that, you can go back to get it back. You can go to the assembly tab up here in the top left, insert components, and that will bring up this insert component list, kind of like when you're creating a SOLIDWORKS drawing. And then click browse, and that will bring you to where you can navigate to where you have the files saved. So the first thing that we want to bring in is the fuselage, and you can go ahead and double click on that, and it'll load. And then before you click anything else, it'll allow you to just kind of drag this around the screen here, just like that. So just go ahead and click. And so you will not get this error. I have the professional version of the software, and it's just telling me that this item was created in an educational version. So this is what happens if you're using the full license of the software instead of just an educational license. Click OK. And so you'll notice, so now you have a part over here in your assembly. So it's not a feature tree. This is your assembly tree now. And so we have kind of our top level planes for the assembly here. I can just turn those on for a minute to show you. And then we have our part file. So, and actually I'm going to go to view, hide and show, and we're going to show the planes for now. Okay, so here are our assembly planes down here, and here are our part planes. And this will be a little bit important here in a few minutes. So I'm just going to show you how to center your part planes on your assembly planes. So the first thing is you'll notice that this has an F here, and watch, if I bring in another document, you'll see it does not have the F. So I'll bring in the frame and just kind of put it off to the side. You can just kind of set the frame off to the side. So you'll notice the frame does not have the F, and see the frame I can move around, and the fuselage I cannot. It says the selected component is fixed, it cannot be moved. So what we want to do is we don't want that to be fixed. We want to right click on that component and float that component. And then what we can do is create what's called a mate, and we're going to go through these mates a lot during all three sheets in this lab. But go up and click on the mate up in the assembly tab, and Then we can click on our front plane. Oh, it'll bring up the mate menu. And we're going to use the coincident mate. So just go ahead and click that. Click on our front plane here. And then click on our front plane here. And now it will move the fuselage to be coincident with that plane. And we're going to do the same thing. You don't have to click on it first necessarily. So we're going to go top plane to top plane, just like that. And then we're going to take right plane to right plane, just like that. And now we kind of readjust these a little bit. They got really big. Get out of my mate menu there. I just clicked escape. And now we can kind of readjust these so that they're not gigantic, and you will see that all of these planes match up now. If we get in here like this, you can see, do a Control-1. Now our right plane's matching up. If I do Control-4, we can see our front plane is matching up. And if we do Control-5, we can see that plane is matching up as well. And with that, we can go ahead and turn off our planes here so we can't see those. And then, and there we go. So now we have this fuselage, or I'm sorry, this frame just kind of floating around in space. And what we can do there, we want to mate this cylinder to this cylinder, and this kind of sheath to this cylinder. So first thing what I want you to do is I want you to rotate this component so that it's kind of already in the orientation we want it to be in. So underneath the move component drop down, we can click rotate component. And then it doesn't really give you any specific indicator that you're selecting anything, but just kind of come over here and you can just click and drag to kind of manipulate this component inside 3D space. This might take a little bit of practice. It's a little strange manipulating an item just kind of floating in the air. But once you kind of have it in this type of orientation where this little triangular section is kind of facing towards the back, then we can go and select this cylinder or this sheath and this cylinder. So I just hold Control, select, and then click Mate. And you'll notice when you click the Mate button, it will, like once the Mate menu loads in, it will automatically, it should choose concentric. So it will look at what these two shapes are, and then it will choose what it thinks is the best option, the most obvious option. And you can click the green check mark here or click the green check mark there. So now if we take a Control-4, you'll see, and actually let me click escape once, and we are actually, let me do a Control-7, and then we're going to take a section view just to show a little bit better. So this is going to be a front section. We're going to do a section on the right plane, just like that. And this is why it was, it's nice to have, what am I doing? There we go. This is why it's nice to have your planes matching up, because if you don't have your planes matching up, it will, these sections are defaulting to where the assembly planes are. So if you did a right, if you did a section on the right plane, it wouldn't, your part might be way up away, and you're going to have to drag this, all over to find the section that you want to have. So that's why it was important, so that we matched up the fuselage planes with the assembly planes. You will also notice when we have our section like this, we're missing now the frame. So what we can do is we'll turn off our section, and we can actually just kind of drag our frame over here, turn the section back on, make sure we are on our right plane. Click OK to lock that in. And now you'll see as you drag this across, we are concentric this sheath and this cylinder are concentric to one another. That's what we're trying to show there. That's how that mate worked. It's just going to keep that concentric. Turn off our section. And now what we want to do is we want to center this frame on this cylinder. So there's a couple ways to do it. One, if you know for a fact that the plane that you drew this on, if you drew this on the mid plane like we have done in class, you should be able to just mate the front or the right plane, however you drew it, to the front or the right plane of the fuselage. However, I don't think that that is the case necessarily. So let's just take a look. I did not draw this part originally. And it is, in fact, so we could do that. We could mate those planes together. Let's go from the back. We could mate those planes together and that would center it. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, because this sheath and this cylinder are actually the same width. So we could just mate these tubes. We could just mate those two faces together. Give it a second to load up here. Moving a little slow today. Just like that. However, if they're not the same width and or the planes aren't going to match up properly, another option is to, let me kind of close out of that and go back into the mates. I just wanted to deselect. So I'm going to go back into the mate toolbar. Another way we can do this is using a width mate. And that's under the advanced mates. But if you have a configuration like this, where maybe this cylinder is an inch longer than this slot or this sheath, we can do a width mate, and it's going to ask us for width selections and tab selections. So it really doesn't necessarily matter which two selections, like these are somewhat interchangeable most of the time. So let's see, our width is this side. Just kind of turn it this side to this side. And then our tab is this side, this side. And what it's going to do is going to center our two pink faces with our two blue faces. And we're just going to click OK. So that's generally probably how I would do it, is use the width mate. I like to do plane mates when it's more of kind of a top level, item. That being said, there are applications for using the plane mates. It just kind of depends, and you'll get a feel for that. But in some cases, it's generally six of one, half dozen of another. And from there, let's go. Let's get out of our mate menu, and we're going to insert component. And the next component we're going to bring in is the counterclockwise rotor, the CCW rotor. You can just drop that in. Click OK. You won't see that menu. And then we're going to mate that cylinder to that hole. And that's going to be a concentric mate. It pops up here. Concentric, green check mark. Kind of drag that up. It's okay that this servo is moving around for now. We're gonna ice it, or we're gonna constrain that shortly. So then this face to this face, and you will see it should automatically collect the coincident mate. Click the check mark. And then we're going to bring in the clockwise rotor. So we can do this the same exact way as before, where we are going to mate this cylinder to this slot, and then mate the face to the face. Another way we can do this, because we have two perfect circles that we're going to, like two circular faces that we're going to mate to each other, this face and this face. There's another advanced mate called the profile center. And what that does is that will make the two faces coincide. And then it will also center them in the center of the face. So kind of like the center of mass of that individual of that face. So what we can do is go into our advanced mates. We're going to click profile center, and you can click just like that. And then let's turn this a little bit more and select that. So we're selecting both of those faces, and you can see it just kind of snaps right down to it. And there you have it. So this won't work if you have some strange polygonal shape. I mean, it might find the center of mass of it, but it's not going to find it's not going to like center it perfectly on. So if you have a perfect square and a perfect circle, that will work. If you have a rectangle and a square, or if you have maybe a parallelogram and a circle, or a parallelogram and a square, it's not gonna. It might. It likely will not find the exact center of, or where you would like to position it. So I would only recommend using the profile center mate when you have you want to find the exact center of two similar shapes, or maybe like a perfect square, a perfect circle, or a triangle and a square. You can find the exact center of both of those faces. And it's a way to constrain it in two directions. And then you can see we still are able to rotate here. So if you want both of these rotors to rotate together, this is another opportunity for us to do a plane mate. So when we're in, or just click escape, so we're out of our mate menu. In our assembly tree here, we can drill in to both of these parts, and you'll see this probably looks familiar. When you drill into this part, this is the feature tree for each part. So what we can do here is maybe take the right plane and the right plane, click mate. We'll give it a second for it to load the mate menu, and maybe we just do perpendicular. Or maybe we can do 60 degrees. There we go. And we'll click OK. Just like that. And depending on which planes you choose, you might have to play around with the angles a little bit, but 60 degrees worked for me. And that is going to make it so if I give it a Control-5 to look at it directly from the top, now we have the counterclockwise rotors and the clockwise rotors perfectly offset from each other. We've got a couple more components here to add. So next thing is we're going to put this little tail piece on. So go ahead and insert. And the next item is the tail rotor. Not much of a rotor, more of just a tail fin, tail wing. Click OK. And so, just mate both of these, the cylinder and the hole, mate these so that they are concentric to each other. There we go. I'm going to just kind of drag this back. We need to do the same thing. So just kind of drag this away. Click, Control, click. Click the green check mark. And then from here, I usually just take this face and I will maybe select this point. Just like that. And we're going to click OK. So those are just going to be coincide. That point's going to coincide with that face. X out of your mate, or escape out of your mate menu. And insert. And from here, we're going to bring in the servo motors. So we'll just bring in one. We're going to need 3 of them, but we're just going to bring in 1 for now. And we'll select that face, rotate it around, hold Control, select that face, and we're going to click mate. Give it a second to load. There we go. Okay, so now that face is coincident with this face, and what we can do is we'll just grab this cylinder, this hole, and it's going to automatically give us a concentric mate. So you'll see, so we want to select this cylinder in that hole, but what's cool is when we select that cylinder, now it kind of gives us a cut through view and it helps us see. So you might have to play around with, oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so you can see through the part. We're going to select that hole and go ahead and click the green check mark. Now click escape to get out of the mate menu. And what we can do, instead of going back to the insert component option, we could just hold control and then drag. You can do it from here too. I think it works better. It's a little less glitchy when you do it from the assembly tree. So hold control, click on your servo motor, and you can just drag this in just like that. So we're going to do that once, let it kind of load, and then we're going to hold control and grab a third one. Cool. Now let's grab that face, rotate this guy around, hold control and select that face. Click mate. And click the green check. Same process. Give us a couple concentric mates. There we go. And now for this guy. So usually I've had you, or until now, I've had you rotate when this isn't kind of already set up the way that I want you to mate it. I've had you rotate the part, but instead of rotating the part this time, let's just go ahead and click that face and click that face. Okay, so it did actually rotate this around properly, but sometimes what'll happen is it'll be the opposite direction of the way you want it. So obviously this isn't going to work because this would be inside this piece. They would be conflicting. So there's this mate alignment button. And what you can do is if you have, if it doesn't set up properly the way that you actually want to do the mate or lock in the mate, you can, there's a line and anti-line. And it just kind of depends on how the software is viewing the mate. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to click anti-line and boom, it just flips it around. Click OK. And then what might be easier, just so we can see a little bit better, is I'm going to click escape to get out of our mate menu. And then I'm going to take a section view right here from the front plane. And that's a little far, so I'm just going to kind of drag this out a little bit. There we go. Click OK. And now it's easier for us to see what we're doing because we can see through the front. So let's take this cylinder and this hole, click mate, green check. Then there's this cylinder, and this hole. I guess they're both holes. Click the green check for the concentric mate. And with that, we've got one more component to add. We can X out of our mate and then click here to turn your section view off. And now we just need the motor link. So let's go to insert components, browse. I'm going to grab the engine link. Oh, now you can rotate this, or you could just go ahead and try to mate it and see if it'll work. So let's just go ahead and mate this just like that. Those two faces should give you coincident. There we go. And it did, in fact, give us the mate that we wanted. If it didn't, oh, here's another little trick. So if you're already out, like if you've already locked in that mate and you want to go back into it, The most recent mates that you've done, at least before you've closed this, are right down here. So I can just click right back on that. And it'll bring that mate back up. And then I can, reverse the alignment if I need to. But in this case, we don't need to. Now, oops, let's see. Okay, we're going to grab that hole, and we're going to grab that hole. And then this is where we're going to position this servo motor and whole frame setup back to where we need it to be. So it's going to be this hole and that hole, just like that. And there we have it. Click Escape to get out of the mate menu, click Control-7 to give myself a nice isometric view. And this, my friends, is what we're going to go ahead and plot on our page. So I'm going to show it to you with this one. The other two I'm going to allow you to do because we've done made the drawings a number of times already, and we're not doing any dimensions today. We're just doing, we are just setting these up as isometrics. So go to File and make drawing from part. If you haven't already saved it, you're going to need to save this assembly file first. So as always, I would suggest to save as you're moving through. However, if you haven't yet, go ahead and save it to your USB if you want to, or your course folder on your USB. We're going to go to submissions, and this is going to be lab 10-1. Great. So as usual, scroll all the way down, grab your CAD 154 title block. Now, because we are not doing dimensions today, it really doesn't matter if it's going to be IPS or MMGS. So I'm just going to leave it in IPS. We're going to grab a isometric view, drag it in, and you'll notice it's very small. So I will take off points if it's tiny like this on the page. I get these submitted to me, not all the time, but somewhat regularly. So what I would say is you can do high quality or draft quality. Doesn't really matter for our purposes today. There we go. A little glitch there. So let's try 1 to 5. So change your sheet scale. Oh, it's going to ask me. Maybe I accidentally clicked Control F. So that's good. It's good practice, anyways. The Lab 10 sheet 1, and we can go ahead and save. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. It's going to be Lab 10 all, just like that. So we'll save this, but I want you to submit all 3 of these isometric views for all 3 sheets. I want you to submit all of them just like we did in the last lab as a 3-page PDF. So we can save this as Lab 10 all, but you're going to need to come in here and, just like before, go in and add your sheets as you create the next 2. So we could just kind of do that in this, I'll do that in this lecture, but just know that when you move forward with sheets 2 and 3 drawings, you're going to come back in here, the models, you're going to come back in here and you're going to add those models to this sheet. So back in sheet 1, select the view. Actually, we shouldn't necessarily need to select the view because we're changing the total sheet, the full sheet scale. Let's just do 1 to 5, see how that looks. Still a little bit small. I think 1 to 2 might be too big. Yeah, 1 to 2 is going to be too big. So let's go to user defined scale and maybe make this 1 to 3. Yeah, perfect. So this scale should be 1 to 3 on the first page, and do a similar process with the next 2. So this looks good. Remember, edit your title block so that you have your name, the class, and the date. Right click anywhere inside the screen here. And maybe I think I had my view selected. So with the view not selected out, you have to select. So this is the view window right now. So you have to kind of go outside of that. So I have to come all the way down here, edit sheet format, and we'll change this information. All caps as usual. There we go. Click the little button up in the top right to get out of your edit sheet format. And this is it. So make sure to save that. And if you have enough bandwidth on your computer, you can keep this open, this drawing open as you work on the next two sheets. If not, just go ahead and close it. And instead of clicking the make drawing from part, you'll just open up this drawing for sheets 2 and sheet 3, move over to where you have those, and then model view and browse to the mill and the bead breaker, whichever one you're going to drop on here. With that, I will see you in the next video.